Good afternoon, San Andreas. We are here with two of the outgoing members of your 10th Congress, Yuri Devlin and Jack Burton. How are you both doing this evening?
Doing well, thank you.
Doing pretty good.
Fantastic. So, thought we'd have a quick catch up, quick chat, see how you guys feel the 10th Congress has gone. Sort of some of your highlights, some of your sort of lower points. I'm sure we can pick up a few. The 10th Congress and sort of the governorship that went alongside it was a bit of a roller coaster. I'm sure you can both agree.
Just a bit.
It's one way to put it.
It was a melodrama there for a hot minute.
Yeah. Well, to start things on a high, what would your sort of top moment from the 10th Congress be, Yuri?
I think voting and getting in the San Andreas Veterinary Services, establishing that to help provide better care to the animals around the state.
Okay. And what about you, Jack? What would your highlight of the 10th Congress be?
Actually, it just happened not too long ago. I think I put that bill in 1 or 2 days ago. They'll have to vote on it in the next term, but that is the powers of attorney and conservatorship bill. Finally got that one across the board.
Fantastic. And obviously, Jack, this has been your first time as a state rep, your first term, as it were. How have you found it in comparison to sort of what you were doing before, you got into politics?
I don't know. It's honestly a very tricky question. Before I got into politics, I have been a licensed attorney within the state. So I did some time with the public defender's office. I did some private attorney work. Kind of took a break for a little bit, and then when things kind of kicked up and I saw an opportunity, I'm like, you know what? I think I could do some good here. I've got a decent head on my shoulders. Let's go ahead and jump in and do some legislative work. Let's write some bills to help the people. And I went in very like rose tinted glasses, thinking I could make a lot of good solid changes. And my God, the bureaucracy just kind of slowly dwindled away at that. I don't get me wrong, I got a lot of good work done. I did a lot of it with Yuri once he came in, but no, just the constant delays that we had and waiting for people to get back to us really kind of sucks the momentum out of a lot of things.
And Yuri, obviously, this is your third term, being in the 7th, the 8th, and finally the 10th Congress.
Mhm.
How has this Congress compared to the 7th and 8th that you served in before?
Obviously, there were challenges coming into it with the mass exodus of the legislators before the special election. But I feel like we got a lot of work done, Jack and I, and with the help of the others that were in it with us, um, as opposed to the 7th, which was my first time I got brought in, and again there was a mass exodus that left holes open, which was tricky as a first time representative, but the 8th Congress, I think, is really where we really shined, coming in late to that and being able to help Bex and the other representatives during that session really clean up a lot of the fluff surrounding a lot of the bills that were active.
Fantastic. And obviously, both of you, interestingly, obviously didn't stand for the 11th Congress. Yuri, in your case, I think you were excluded from doing so due to your sort of term limits. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah. People in the state are allotted 3 terms that they're able to run and be elected for. Anything after that would have to be appointed after a 2-month period of a state representative either being in office and then dropping out.
Okay. So obviously, Yuri, in your case, you're going to be continuing in the government in some form of capacity, as Jessica Valentino, who recently was elected for the 11th Congress as a state rep, continuing as her state rep assistant, I believe. Is that correct?
Correct. Yes.
Fantastic. And Jack, you were part of the Creed and Creed ticket, I believe. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, they approached me I want to say 3-4 weeks ago. We had to sit down, and I didn't like immediately jump on the bandwagon with them. I wanted to hear them out. I wanted to listen to what they were going to bring to the state, if they were fortunate enough to be elected. Kind of set them on what I consider to be the right path for certain things. I feel like a lot of candidates come out and they're swinging for the fences on platforms that really just don't have much of a leg to stand on. So I wanted to make sure that if they were going to be doing this, they'd be doing so with putting their best foot forward. But I also explained to them, like, listen, you guys are going up against, a fairly heavy hitter within the state. Brother Jeremy is immensely popular, and he's built a really good cabinet behind him. This is going to be a very tough uphill battle for all of you, and you guys are very much so the underdog. So you have to be hitting every possible chance to get out there and speak with the people, and even that may not be enough. So like we really set the expectation that they have a chance, but if it doesn't happen, don't let it get to you. There's always another chance that you can go ahead and make a run at this. I'm a good example of that. When there was a vacancy that came in last term, and I attempted to make a run for it, I made a good showing. I was beat out by Conrad Knives. When my partner and I, Yuki Littleguard Marino, made a run for the governor, we were the first ones out. But she ran for office and got in as a state rep. I did so myself. So just because you lose doesn't mean you're done for. You can keep at it.
Fantastic. And what sort of one thing that you disliked about the 10th Congress? I'll open it up to the government as a whole in terms of what was it? It was the 10th Congress alongside the 9th governor. Start with Jack.
It's a really heavy question because there was so much.
There's
that
a
went
lot
on
of
there.
subject matter.
The fact that we lost some people, albeit they all had their reasons, and I stand by all of them for why they needed to step away. That was a very kind of tenuous moment for those of us that stayed, namely being myself and Tommy Merlin. There was already that perception of things not being all that great within the government at the start of the 10th term. And, well, let's be fair. Everything that went down with Ella Brightstar was difficult to be a part of. I feel like I can take some of the blame in that because I feel as if I should have stopped her from running for governor. But at the time, the only other option was Sheriff Kavanaugh, and the things he was putting out for his platform, satirical or not. If for any chance that turned out not to be satirical, and he was trying to like push British people out of the state,
What a heinous crime.
to be fair, I have quite a few British friends, and I not like it if they all got pushed out of state. But like they had to be satirical, but it was just like hedging bets. Like, all right, he can't get in. The only other option that's stayed in is Ella. We're gonna do what we can to support her the best we can. And she got the win. I feel like she started things well, but then the wheels started coming off. There was the 4th of July event that kind of went sideways. There's the trial that everyone knows about, albeit I think there was more information out there that should have been brought into the courtroom that may have led to something different. I don't think it would have changed the outcome of her leaving office. I think that would have still happened. But let's be fair. The 10th term was a dumpster fire up until we had people like Yuri here come into the office, Maxine Finch, Wyatt McKenzie. It kind of added a breath of fresh air that we were all kind of able to capitalize on, some more than others. And it kind of started being, at least from the legislative branch, a more well-oiled machine. We were able to get, quite a bit done from such an incredibly slow start that we had.
And Yuri, what's sort of your sort of least favorite moment of the 10th Congress and the 9th governorship?
Really, to stand out, I didn't take great pride in the impeachment of Ella wasn't exactly something that I,
It's not a
set
career
out
highlight
to.
for you.
It's not a career highlight as impeaching.
Our
At
hands
that
were forced on that one.
at that point, a citizen, not just the governor. She was a citizen at that point, but um, no, it was an expected and required endpoint based on the public opinion. And recently, well, just last night, the veto of the FOIA bill by Governor Quinn. Um, it had been my assumption after the nomination of Seraphine Maxwell to Surgeon General that Quinn was really done. She has been saying for some time that she was not enjoying being governor anymore, um, and that Seraphine was her last big act. Um, Last night, she came out of the proverbial woodwork and vetoed HR 353, which is something that was not only close to me, but also close to Representative-elect Damien, who made it one of his big points in his campaign is to get more clarity on FOIA and being allowed other people to be able to request things regarding your family members. And upon pressure from the elects of the next governor and his staff, Quinn folded and vetoed the bill, which is really disheartening that just due to outside pressure, and instead of allowing, at least for the time being, the bill to exist as it was written and submitted, that they would rather do away with the transparency it would have provided family members for their loved ones, because once again, a bill was ready to be signed into law, and at the 11th hour, members of various departments came in and had an issue with it. And instead of reaching out and talking to myself or Jackie and any of the representatives, they reached out to the incumbents, who then provided the pressure onto Governor Marino to veto the bill.
Yeah. For those sort of watching at home, a FOIA in terms of a freedom of information request is what you're referring to, isn't it?
Yes,
Yeah.
correct.
So if you could sort of provide a brief summary of what the bill is intended to do. I know you've covered certain sections already, but just sort of like a sort of brief overall for what people can then understand the bill's trying to achieve, please.
The bill is trying to achieve allowing next of kin, family members, loved ones, spouses, the ability to request information. Say if I was to get incapacitated and I was comatose, someone that I would be married to or a child of mine would be able to request information about the happenings of what led to that. That was the main meat of this bill, was to provide a better transparency so loved ones can get closure. This bill was brought upon due to the death of August Young Roulette, when her husband Silas was trying to get the information surrounding her death. He was stonewalled even though they were legally married. That's what this entire bill was for. It was to allow loved ones to get closure. And now, with it being reverted to the original, or still the original bill, if I was to be murdered, my loved ones wouldn't be able to know what happened to me at all, because they wouldn't be allowed under the current wording of the FOIA Act.
Okay. So clearly something that looks like it's understandably needed that isn't currently there. So it's a shame to see that Governor Quinn decided to, as you say, come out of the woodwork and veto that. It sounds as if luckily it may be going in the right direction with because you said Damien Flippington, one of the new state reps, is sort of already taken it on and is ready to sort of carry the torch, as it were.
Yeah, this was one of the things that he emphasized in his candidate piece. Is this is something that was important to him. I hope that whatever issues that the departments found at the 11th hour can be rectified, and this can be pushed quickly through into the next Congress. Because I do believe it's something that is paramount to um, providing transparency, which is what everyone has as their hot button word when it comes to running for office, is paramount to providing transparency to people.
Fantastic. And so, what are your guys' plans now after the after the Congress finishes? Because your terms officially finish on Sunday, once the inauguration is concluded. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
So, Jack, what's your plans for after you've left office, as it were?
To be fair, honestly, I have no idea. I know immediately following the new representatives being sworn in, I am going to take a deep breath. I'll probably, go sit somewhere very quiet and try to regain, some lost brain cells and some lost hope for certain things.
Gonna go touch some grass.
I probably will. I am going to be actively kind of keeping an eye on the state representatives. I've already, kind of made an offering to some of those coming in, that if they have any questions, they want to know kind of how to tackle something, feel free to reach out. But I've also got 5 bills that are still sitting in various committees with other government entities throughout the state. So I'm going to still try to get those worked out completely and finalized, and I'll kick those over to the new representatives so they can push them through.
Fantastic. And Yuri, it's slightly different for you. Obviously, continuing as Jessica Valentino's state rep assistant. Although I imagine, or I hope, that should give you a bit more time on your hands, as you're not the sort of main representative themselves. So, what are you going to do with this hopeful extra time on your hands?
Um, Working at my business, and then I do plan on, at some point in the near future, putting in a new application for a new business that kind of works hand in hand with my current one, Pet Haven.
Fantastic. I mean, any sort of sneak peek of what that might be, or sort of what sort of line you want to take with that?
It's going to be supplies for pets, so toys, beds, things of that nature.
Okay, pretty cool. Pretty cool. Well, thank you very much for joining us this evening, guys. It's obviously been an interesting 4 months for you, Jack. And what's it been? Is it 2 months or so for you, Yuri, or
2
3
and a
months?
half, give or take.
Yeah, exactly. So it's been an interesting term. I'm sure I'm sure the vast majority of us are grateful for your service in this term. It's always better to have some representation rather than none. And we wish you well with your future endeavors.
Thank you very much.
I appreciate you making the time.
Take care, guys. Thank you.